Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It might be hard for you to hear us because there's so much noise in the background. Because there's a nice waterfall. We're in Cumberland Mountain State Park, just somewhere in between Knoxville and Nashville, Tennessee. We just stopped after a long journey, right?
Yes. Please go over to the Bhakti Vision YouTube channel and you'll see our cross-country traveling adventures, which we started on Sunday and will end on Saturday, because we're going from Maryland to Laguna Beach,
California. So
we were in Virginia yesterday, Maryland and then Virginia, and today we've driven to Tennessee. We haven't reached our destination in Tennessee. We're going to do 8 hours driving in total.
Today.
Well, he is, I'm not, but yeah. So if you go to the Bhakti Vision channel and subscribe first of all, and then you can watch it. But you can watch it without subscribing, but it'd be nice if you subscribed as well.
Hopefully we'll put a link for you
yeah.
down there. But anyway, we're here to read Bhagavatam. You can catch up on that later.
Alright. So it's Canto 3, Chapter 28, Text 10, Kapila's instructions on devotional service. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Right, text 10. The yogis who practice such breathing exercises are very soon freed from all mental disturbances, such as gold, when put into fire and fanned with air, becomes free from all impurities. Purport. This process of purifying the mind is also recommended by Lord Chaitanya. He says that one should chant Hare Krishna. He says further, Param Vijayate, all glories to Sri Krishna Sankirtan. All glories are given to the chanting of the holy names of Krishna, because as soon as one begins this process of chanting, the mind becomes purified. Chaito Dapana Marjanam. By chanting the holy name of Krishna, one is cleansed of the dirt that accumulates in the mind. One can purify the mind either by the breathing process or by the chanting process, just as one can purify gold by putting it in a fire and fanning it with a bellows.
Thoughts?
Yeah, chanting holy names is very purifying.
Well, that's definitely in the mood of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Truth spoken concisely is true eloquence. Yeah, in one sense it's self-explanatory. I'm just thinking that probably for all of you viewers, you're just hearing this noise in the back which sounds like static. But that is the sound of intense flowing water.
Can you see it?
Yeah, you can see it.
Oh, good. I feel I'm going to fall off in a minute because where we're sitting, it's sloping. I might roll backwards into the water.
Anyway, that'll be exciting.
Right.
Okay, we'll go on to text 11. By practicing the process of pranayam, one can eradicate the contamination of his physiological condition. And by concentrating the mind, one can become free from all sinful activities. By restraining the senses, one can free himself from material association, and by meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can become free from the three modes of material attachment. Very powerful. Yeah, so there's a lot, as you know, in our special editions with Michael, we were talking about the three modes of material nature. So, Srila Prabhupada speaking in the purport, according to Ayurvedic medical science, the three items, kapha, pitta, and vayu, phlegm, bile, and air, maintain the physiological condition of the body. Modern medical science does not accept this physiological analysis as valid, but the ancient Ayurvedic process of treatment is based upon these items. Ayurvedic treatment concerns itself with the cause of these three elements, which are mentioned in many places in the Bhagavatam as the basic conditions of the body. Here it is recommended that by practicing the breathing process of pranayama, one can be released from the contamination created by the principal physiological elements. By concentrating the mind, one can become free from sinful activities, and by withdrawing the senses, one can free himself from material association. So it seems these three are very powerful. The breathing process can release us from contamination created by the principal physiological elements. So that pranayama, that breathing, balances this kapha, pitta, and vayu. Then by concentrating the mind, one becomes free from sinful activities, because if the mind is controlled, the senses don't drag you around. And then by withdrawing the senses, one can free himself from material association. So like that, if we can control the mind and senses, then we can stay away from sinful activity and material association.
Next paragraph. Ultimately, one has to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead in order to be elevated to the transcendental position where he is no longer affected by the three modes of material nature. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that one who engages himself in unalloyed devotional service at once becomes transcendental to the three modes of material nature and immediately realizes his identification with Brahman. Sagunam samat ityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. For every item in the yoga system, there is a parallel activity in Bhakti Yoga, but the practice of Bhakti Yoga is easier for this age. What was introduced by Lord Chaitanya is not a new interpretation. Bhakti Yoga is a feasible process that begins with chanting and hearing. Bhakti Yoga and other yogas have as their ultimate goal the same personality of Godhead, but one is practical and the others are difficult. One has to purify his physiological condition by concentration and by restraint of the senses. Then he can fix his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is called Samadhi. So this control of the senses is very important when we're trying to perform any type of yoga, because that's the whole point. Whatever type of yoga. So what I'm understanding through Srila Prabhupada is that it's not easy to control the mind or the senses at all. I can say for sure, being on vacation, you just want to eat, really. So it's not easy. Maybe I just eat anyway, but what I'm understanding is that this Bhakti Yoga process is very powerful if we apply it properly in doing that. And controlling the mind and senses is a very, how can I put, it's a really strong, it's very progressive on this path, in the sense that, you can chant, and I do this, I do that. But if the senses and the mind remain uncontrolled, it's diluted, So to the extent that someone is following this process purely or sincerely, where even if a bit of the mind is controlled and senses, you see a difference, and you see a difference in how we are and how we are with others, and just peace. So don't underestimate the importance of controlling the mind and senses. But I don't mean that separately. So I don't mean, now we've got to get mental, and it's done in the Bhakti Yoga process because it's so powerful, but it's something we shouldn't overlook, if that makes sense. You can go on for years and just be skimming the surface of the process, because after a while we need to dive deeper, and that is when we start to take control of the mind and senses more.
Yeah, param drishtva navartate, when we have the higher taste, which comes from deeply absorbing ourselves, then naturally the mind and senses become controlled.
Yeah.
But it's a reciprocal type of thing, because you also have to be controlling the mind and senses to some extent to start to go deeper. So, yeah, we have to be making some attempt like that.
Yeah. I don't mean just leave it to the process. Yeah, the point is sometimes it can be underestimated, the importance of doing that, of that part of, the discipline.
Okay. What I'm going to suggest is that we finish here,
All right, here.
and we'll start again somewhere else, and there'll be less background noise. So
All right.
stay tuned. We're going to just switch locations.
All right.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We've moved to the duck area.
Hanging out with the ducks, and here comes a
And
little
there's a
squirrel.
squirrel looking rather
there's so
shifty.
many. These are actually not ducks.
Oh,
They're Canadian geese. Those of you who
tomato,
know.
tomato.
Not even in the slightest. So over there is where we just were. And
Yeah.
it should be a little quieter, but if you listen,
They're coming.
you can kind of hear in the background.
We might get
the
attacked
falls.
by the Canadian geese.
Yeah.
But I
Canadian
believe
geese.
Her Majesty is still sovereign of Canada, so I should be all right being a British citizen and all that.
Okay, so we're reading from the Bhagavatam, text 12, I think it is, right?
It is. When the mind is perfectly purified by this practice of yoga, one should concentrate on the tip of the nose with half-closed eyes and see the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. Purport. It is clearly mentioned here that one has to meditate upon the expansion of Vishnu. The word kastam refers to Paramatma, the expansion of Vishnu. Bhagavata refers to Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Godhead is Krishna. From him comes the first expansion, Baladev, and from Baladev comes Shankarshan, Aniruddha, and many other forms, followed by the Purusha avatars, as mentioned in the previous verses, Purusha Chanam. This Purusha is represented as the Paramatma or Supersoul. A description of the Supersoul upon whom one must meditate will be given in the following verses. In this verse, it is clearly stated that one must meditate by fixing the vision on the tip of the nose and concentrating one's mind on the kala, or the plenary expansion of Vishnu.
Kala.
So this is one type of yoga where you have to close, where you can try to control the mind by half closing your eyes. It's not easy. I can't actually half close my eyes because they just start fluttering. And yeah, anyway, it's not practical for everyone. I don't think it's good to put down other forms of, yoga and purification, each to their own. But I'm just saying it isn't easy.
Well, with all due respect, this is a process that's being given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, so it's a completely bona fide process. It's just,
I didn't say
as Prabhupada, well, I'm not contradicting, I'm just embellishing on what you said.
Right.
And as Prabhupada said, but it may be impractical in this age for the people of this age. So, like
especially if you're tired or something, as Prabhupada says, you can fall asleep.
You start to stare at the tip of your nose, half-closed eyes, and the next thing you know, it's completely closed and you're dozing off, falling asleep like that. So we'll read text 13 now.
Yes.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead has a cheerful, lotus-like countenance with ruddy eyes like the interior of a lotus and a swarthy body like the petals of a blue lotus. He bears a conch, discus, and mace in 3 of his hands. So this is wonderful, description of the Lord that one can meditate upon while one is focusing half-closed eyes on the tip of the nose. Purport. It is definitely recommended here that one concentrate his mind upon the form of Vishnu. There are 12 different forms of Vishnu which are described in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Actually, there's Srila Prabhupada and goes in depth to describe each one. So you can look that up in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. One cannot concentrate his mind on anything void or impersonal. The mind should be fixed on the personal form of the Lord, whose attitude is cheerful, as described in this verse. Bhagavad Gita states that meditation on the impersonal or void features is very troublesome to the meditator. Those who are attached to the impersonal or void features of meditation have to undergo a difficult process because we are not accustomed to concentrating our minds upon anything impersonal. It's a very good point. Actually, such concentration is not even possible. Wow, Prabhupada says. Bhagavad Gita also confirms that one should concentrate his mind on the personality of Godhead. Yeah, I'm trying to think which verse that is. If you can think of the Bhagavad Gita verse which Srila Prabhupada is referring to, that one should fix his mind. I'm thinking, Yogi Namapi Sarvesham or Manushanam Sahasreshu. But maybe there's another verse that you can think of that where Krishna says one should fix his mind upon me.
Okay. The color of the personality of Godhead Krishna is described here as Nilot Pala Dala, meaning that it is like that of a lotus flower with petals tainted blue and white. People always ask why Krishna is blue. The color of the Lord has not been imagined by an artist. It is described in authoritative scripture. In the Brahma Samhita also, the color of Krishna's body is compared to that of a bluish cloud. The color of the Lord is not poetical imagination. There are authoritative descriptions in the Brahma Samhita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and many of the Puranas of the Lord's body, his weapons and all other paraphernalia. The Lord's appearance is described as Padma Garbha Ray Rune Shanam. His eyes resemble the inside of a lotus flower. And in his four hands he holds the four symbols: conch shell, discus, mace and lotus. Nice description of the colour of the Lord. He's not like bright blue, luminous. It's kind of like tainted.
Yeah.
Subtle tainted.
Bluish cloud. Actually, it's bluish black is more like it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard described.
Like a monsoon rain cloud. So it's maybe many of us haven't seen a monsoon rain cloud.
No, I'm just looking at the clouds to try to get some sort of, but maybe not.
So you kind of, but anyway, what I got from that was that it doesn't matter. Like we may say, why is Krishna blue? But it's not just an artist's impression. This is what Shastra says. So we might not know why he decided to be blue. The Lord can be whatever color he likes.
He just is.
He is blue.
Yeah.
So why blue?
Because he is.
Why am I white, and why is she golden or brown?
Golden.
Why are these geese black-headed with dark brown? Why? Why is grass green? Why is the sky, so many things can be. Now, of course, scientists may say, easy, the grass is green because of the principle of photosynthesis, and the sky is blue because of the reflection of the sea into the sky, and so many things.
Yeah.
But, Krishna, he's blue because he wants to be.
Yeah.
And Shastra describes him as such, so like that.
Yeah, and I think the important point there is also that not so much that because he is, that is important, like he is, but the point is that, no, that is the point I was making. He is blue because he is blue, but the more important point is, and therefore those who have seen this, which we accept in our disciplic succession, starting from Lord Brahma, who was offering prayers, and that authoritative bona fide personalities are letting us know, regardless of whether we debate it this way, that way, inside and out, there is a personality, a supreme personality, who is, Lord knows, literally, no, well, pun intended, Lord knows what he's doing in the spiritual world, playing or this or that, and he's blue. You know, he's got a peacock feather, and his feet have got, under the feet, he's got markings. You know, that's what he looks like. And we know this because authoritative witnesses, or people who've been fortunate enough to see him, have shared it down the line.
Yeah, Guru
So
said.
just so you know, there is a person that looks like this.
Parampara, the
Yeah.
cyclic succession. Should we stop or do one more?
You can do one more because it's super tiny. Number
Okay.
14 is.
Text 14. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, all of these are really nice, so we'll continue later. But his loins are covered by a shining cloth, yellowish like the filaments of a lotus. Lots of descriptions compared to the lotus. On his breast he bears the mark of Shrivats, a curl of white hair. The brilliant Kaustubha gem is suspended from his neck. So like Prabhupada said in the previous purports, you know, we're not really accustomed to meditating on something impersonal, meditating on nothing. We like, you know, meditate on Krishna, you know, or Vishnu, who has this blue form, eyes that are ruddy with a, you know, a beautiful smile, and the Kaustubha gem hanging around his neck, and the Shrivats, the white piece of curly hair right there on his chest, and his yellowish cloth that covers his loins, that's just like the filament, you know, like that. When you describe that, you think, yes, yes. Purport. The exact color of the garment of the Supreme Lord is described as saffron yellow. So saffron is that,
Nice.
those particles. And if you've ever used saffron, you know it turns things a sort of yellowish orange kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just like the pollen of a lotus flower. The Kaustubha gem hanging on his chest is also described. His neck is beautifully decorated with jewels and pearls. The Lord is full in 6 opulences, one of which is wealth. He is very richly dressed with valuable jewels which are not visible within this material world. Confirmed. I think that kind of speaks for itself, really.
Yeah. There's one verse when you're addressing Gaur Nitai, like on the altar, and it describes that his hair is bound by strings of pearls. I always think, like, because you have to recite these verses before you start dressing them. I always remember, like, look at his little head, and strings of pearls. You know, I guess on his top
note.
yeah.
Yeah.
His hair is bound with strings of pearls, and this beautiful smile, it says. Yeah, I remember all that.
I remember all that. Okay, so we'll finish there. Thank you very much. Please check out the Bhakti Vision, Wandering Krishnas, and please remember to comment, like, subscribe, and share these posts with others if you like them. And we keep coming back. We're going to be on a journey across the U.S., so we're going to be stopping in lots of different places. We're going to drive cross country to California, and then we're coming back.
Another route, though.
To Maryland, yeah. So
another route.
Stay with us. Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.